Most CNC files that customers run will be what we refer to as a G92 program, and that is at the beginning of the program you'll see a line of code like this: G92 X0Y0Z0, and that tells the controller that from this point forward all these X, Y, and Z coordinates will be based off of wherever the cutting head is when it hits this line of code here. So, and this is how most people run their machine. They'll have their black square here represents our cutting envelope. This is our sheet of material that we're cutting. They'll generally set this sheet of material down wherever is convenient on the table. Maybe today it's over here, whatever, we put it here. And then we jog our cutting head over to the corner, put our cutting head on the corner, and then we start cutting from there, and the cutting head goes up and does its thing from there. So that would be a G92 program. Again, all of those XYZ coordinates are based off of wherever the cutting head is when you start your program. We also have the ability to use work offsets. And what that will do is for people that do repetitive work, so they're cutting this CNC file and they're cutting it 100 times a day and they're cutting it every day like that, or maybe the nest might change but the sheet of material is the same and they always want to cut it and they're always going to cut it in the same position on the table every time, and they've got a fixture set up on their table. So it'll be my fixture, and they've got a fixture set up on their table, and they finish one sheet, take one sheet off, put the other sheet on, and it always goes back in that same location every time. And so in those situations people can work off of a work offset, and the work offset is triggered by having a G54, G55, 56, 57, 58, basically G54 through G59 will trigger the controller to look at whatever positions, XYZ positions, are saved in the controller for our G54 to G59 positions, and then base those coordinates in the CNC file off of that. So for example, if we go back to our controller, so this program here, we have a G92, jog my cutting head to where I want to cut the program, start, and it does it from there. And again, all these are based off of where we start our program. If I change this and I were to put a G54 at the start here, so let me just rename this one here, G54. And a couple ways of doing this. For example, Z heights can be based off of the top of the table. So oftentimes, especially for water only cutting, we'll set the Z position for the work offset at the top of the table, and then in the CAM system, based on the thickness of material that's selected, these Z values here will change. So if we're cutting 1-inch thick material, if our Z value is based off the top of the table, rather than lifting 1 inch off the top of the material like here, we'd lift up 2, which would put us 1 inch off the top of my material. We'd wrap it over, and then we'd come down to Z1, which for water only should put us 1/2 inch off the top of the 1-inch thick material. And then similar situation on this one here, and wrap it down, and we'll save that. Those work offsets are set in the control panel area, and go into tooling, work offsets. Here we have our G54 through G59 values. Each of these, click on it and we can see our saved values. So this machine that I'm working on is our J series with a chain, and we'll typically program this where we've got our Z0 at or near the top of the table. There might be some slight adjustment to that Z value to tweak in so that that cutting head is 1/2 inch off the top of whatever thickness material that we specify in our CAM software. So G54, we've got it set close to the front left of the table, and minus 10.525 inches from the top of the Z travel. So right now this is our current location. So of course you can jog around, save your whatever you want for your XYZ values for each of these work offset positions. If you do change any of these, and to be safe here, since I'm doing this remotely right now, I'm just going to change this to, we'll just go -9. So it'll be a little bit extra high. If you do change any of those values, make sure you click on Save to update that. So here's our G92 program. So I'm going to go ahead and dry run this. So just to show us here, I'm going to zero out my XYZ coordinates. We'll load this program. So this is where we are on the table. And click on Run Program. We'll see it lifts up an inch from there, comes over, comes down, cuts our circle. And if we look at these XYZ coordinates here, see again, these are all based off of where we started. So now if we go ahead and change program and load that G54 program I made, in Ikulu you have the option of showing your distance from your work offset position. So that's how far away we are right now from our G54 work offset position. So we're going to go ahead and load this program. So in here now it shows us that our cutting head right now is back here, and it shows us where this program is going to be cut. Click on Run Program. Cutting head comes down to its Z height and then comes over and cuts the program in that location. As we see down here, this is our current distance again from our work offset position. So work offsets can be quite useful again for people doing repetitive work or water-only systems like this, where you basically will have the Z height changed based on the thickness of material that you're feeding into the system. If you have any questions on that, let us know. Thanks.